Welcome back. Well, this one's gonna be kind of different. Let's start the new year out the right way. I'm gonna take something I used to make ink pens out of. It always used to sell really well. Only this time, I'm gonna make a bow. Out of what? Corncob. Actually, quite a few corncobs. Let's go, see what happens. May not work at all. Before we do that though, I got another sticker. Nicholas Burt, Woodworking. He's in the UK. Yes, the last name is the same. We tease each other about being long lost cousins. So I'm gonna put this up here. I'll put a link to Nick's channel up here. Y'all show Nick some love. He's a very, very talented and knowledgeable turner. His videos are all real short. He doesn't have that many of them up, but a lot of good information there. He doesn't have very many subscribers, so check Nicholas out. He's a good dude. Nick, I think I'm gonna put you right here. Cool. Only one thing, Nick. You didn't include a return address. I don't know where to send my stickers to you. I've got my corn cobs prepped. This is gonna be my mold. This will go inside so that I don't waste a whole lot of liquid diamonds, because that's what I'm going to be. No, actually, I'm going to use something else. This will go inside so that I don't waste a lot of resin. So first thing we got to do, this is cactus juice. I've got to stabilize my corn cobs. And so what you do is you take this activator. Shelf life is indefinite until you put the activator in it. Once you put the activator in it, you've got to keep it relatively cool, because if this gets, I think it says above about 90 degrees, I think it's closer to 80, this jug will begin to get hard. So I keep this in the house where I know the temperature is always right. I have my pine cones cleaned and prepped. Pine cones. I have my corn cobs cleaned and prepped. I'll put them down in the vacuum chamber. I already tested it. It holds a nice vacuum. I'll be back. I gotta find me a weight to hold those down. I was gonna use this, but these are just filled with sand, and I'm afraid the vacuum might pop that plug. That wouldn't be a good thing. Alright, that's the whole gallon. It barely covered it. When it pulls it in, I may have some on top that don't get penetrated real well. I may need to move them around a little while, and put the ones on top on the bottom and put it under vacuum again. We'll see. Okay, make sure my rim is clean of dust. This is going to be loud, so I'm going to get you down low on the volume. Oh, another little thing. I have a gassed vacuum pump, but I don't use it for chemical stuff like this. I use it for vacuum chucking. I don't use it for this. So what I use for this is a little Venturi vacuum thing that you get Arbor Freight for like 10 bucks. Well, it was like 15 bucks when I bought it. There may be a little more expensive now. I've had this for years. You just hook your compressor up to it. Yeah, the compressor runs a lot, but it'll be under pressure. It'll be under vacuum in a minute, and I can turn it off. All right, that says I've got a good vacuum. All right, it's not bubbling so much anymore, so I'm gonna shut the valve. I took the vacuum away from it, the valve's closed, no leaks. And I'll leave this sit like this for several hours. Okay, these have been sitting in the vacuum for 2.5 hours. I just released it. So I need to let these sit for another 5 hours in the stabilizing resin before I take them out and bake them. That'll take me late into the evening, so I'm just going to leave them sitting there until in the morning, and then I will start baking them off. Okay, I'm going to let these drain for a little bit, a few minutes before I put them in the oven. Oven's coming up to temperature now. Looking good. Okay, the first batch right here is out of the oven. They look good. The second batch is in the oven. I'm going to let it cook for 3 hours. And then we'll start seeing what we can do about putting a bowl together. Okay, my cobs are all stabilized, and I'm going to start putting them in the bowl. I'm going to hot glue these down to this little dollar bowl I picked up. Hopefully they'll stick enough. By the same token, this is going to be a little trickier, not too bad. I'm going to stack these around and glue them to the edges too. This just barely fits in my pressure pot, so I need to trim these so they're not too long. And because they sit down there in different depths, I got to do it one at a time. So it's a slow going process, but it's an experiment. All my experiments are trial and error, trial and error. Sometimes more error than trial. I'm going to keep going on this until I get these all cut to length and where I want to put them, and when I start gluing them in place, and I'll come back. Okay, I've got all of these cut and lined. I don't have them glued in place yet. I'm just going to put a tip. I'm going to put a dab right at the top of each of these, just so I don't want them to move. I'm not worried about them shifting in the bottom because of the way they're sitting, and because I'm going to put this weighted bowl in the middle of it. And this is looking killer! I'm so excited. From the top of the cobs in the bottom to the top of this is about 4 inches. The bowl is 4 inches. And there's 1.5 inches sticking up. Now, time to mix the Alumilite. I want to do this in one batch, in one pour. And I don't know how much to mix. Let me do some ciphering, I'll be back. Okay, I'm gonna mix in this bowl. And I figure if I fill this bowl half full, it should fill this one. I'm hoping. Okay, so I need 5,418 grams in this one. Ooh, on the dot. Sometimes I'm so good I scare myself. Y'all realize that was completely accidental, right? And now we stir forever. You want to make sure this is mixed up really, really well. This is a lot. This is a lot more pink than I wanted. Okay, this is ruby mica powder. I don't want to use too much, but I want to use enough. Perfect! Can you see the color? Can y'all see the color? You see that color? Isn't that pretty? That pretty, man. This barely fits in my pressure pot, so I've got to put it in first. See? I mean, it barely fits in there. Just barely. So the first thing I'm gonna do is pour a little of this in here before I put the stuff in the bottom. I mean the bowl in. That's what I was afeared of. That ain't enough. That ain't nearly enough. Put this in there. No, not even close. Let me mix some more up. I'll be back. Okay, let's try this again. I've got 10,800 more grams of resin.
Drug dealer does not pay off. I'm legal, by the way. I'm not illegal.
Ignore the chipmunks in the background.
Oh man, you gotta hear them chipmunks on my video.
That still wasn't enough, but I can't do any more. I'm gonna have to get this under pressure. Okay, let's take this out and see what we got. I know there's not enough resin in there, that much I do know. Nope. I'm about... The resin is about right there, so I need a little bit more. So I'm gonna mix some more up and put it in there, put it back under pressure. You've seen me mix 2 batches already, I think. Anyway, I'm gonna mix up some more and put it in there. And then put it back under pressure. I'll be back. All right, putting it back under pressure. That's 60 PSI. Okay, let's let the pressure out. I put this clamp on there because it was leaking a little bit. Now it's not. It's holding a pretty solid 60 PSI. So I put it in here. Oh, it's nice and solid. Perfect! And it's hard. It's fully set. Now, if I can get this one off as easy as I got that one out, they're the same stuff, same brand bowl, just 2 different sizes. the hot glue held better than I wanted. That was the problem. So, here it is. My bowl blank. It says you're supposed to let this Alumilite cure for 3 to 5 days before you turn it or do anything with it. I don't know if I'm gonna wait that long. I may put this on the lathe tomorrow and get at it. That's gonna be pretty. Y'all just don't have any idea. Now you may be thinking to yourself, Billy, how are you gonna hold that thing? Because there's nothing to grip it on. Well, that's true. But I found, thanks to the dimples that were in the bowls that I used to cast this, I know where the center is. So I marked my center points. Throw it up here on my safety center. It just fits. That's pretty close. The bowl wasn't perfectly round because I had to trim the lip off of it. So this deformed a little bit, but that's really close. And for our purposes, I believe it's close enough. I've got me a mark on my tool rest over here. I'm gonna spin it, checking this against it. And it's within 1/16 of an inch, so that thing's pretty heavy. So I'm going to stay at about 770 RPM for now. Face shield. Why face shield? Because that thing is heavy enough to break noses and stuff. And because you're stupid if you don't use one. Dovetailed enough. I've got a good bottom. I've got a good mortise. I think I've got an idea of the shape I want for this, but before I finalize that idea, I'm going to cut these corn cobs off even with the top of this resin. Yeah, I don't want to get any thinner than that, I don't think. So I've established my wall thickness here. I'm applying the sanding sealer before I start sanding because I want to stiffen up any of this soft corn cob that for one reason or another didn't get stabilized well. I'm going to let this dry for a few minutes and then I'll start sanding it. Okay, I've sanded it through 600. after applying some CA. I flooded it with CA because I had some voids. Sanded it back, hit it with sanding sealer again, and when that dries, I'll hit it with Axe abrasive paste. Now it's nice and smooth. Let's turn the inside. Now's where I need to be really careful. Ow! It's gotten harder since yesterday, so it's a lot more chippy. Now I got chipmunks. Doug had chipmunks the other day. Y'all know Doug. And you saw Jen there a minute ago. There's Jen. So you may hear my chipmunks in the background here in a minute. Oh, I've been recording hollowing the inside and y'all haven't seen me. I'm a bad boy. I came close to making a donut, kids. Oh, cool. Yeah, we're good. Y'all see this stuff here on my dust collector? This drives Jen crazy. That's as deep as I want to go, folks. There's no grooves, there's no ridges. It's nice and smooth. The bottom's probably half-inch thick, but I'm gonna lose some of the height because I need to, when I turn it around, put it in a cold jaws, some of this is gonna go away. I'm gonna have to decide how to treat that. Some of the inside, like the pith of this corncob, didn't stabilize. And this part is kind of gone. So it left a void there that I need to fix. And I've got some voids I need to fill anyway. So what I think I'm gonna do, when I stabilize corncobs for making pins, I always drilled them out first to get rid of this soft pith. And I didn't think about doing it for this. Well, I thought about it, but I didn't want to leave the holes. I should have done it and just made sure I filled them with resin. Lesson learned. As soon as I figure out what I'm gonna do with this, I'll be back. I may hit it with some 400 after this dries. And then what I'm thinking about is finishing this inside and out with a thin layer of clear resin. All right, after this is cured enough to sand, I'll be back. Okay, I've got it sanded to about 600. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave it in the chuck, but I'm gonna take it off the lathe. I'm gonna mix up some liquid diamonds, and I'm gonna paint the outside and the inside with a thin coat of liquid diamonds, and then just leave that sit overnight to cure. Once that's done, I probably won't even need to buff it, but we'll see. Once that's done, I'll take it off the chuck, turn it around into the cold jaws, and finish the bottom, and then apply the same finish there. And for those of you who have wondered, how does Alumilite clear, How does Alumilite look if you don't put it under pressure? It looks like this. This is the exact same resin, the exact same coloring. This was the overflow. I had a little too much, so I poured it in some silicone muffin tins. Muffin tins, if they're silicone, does that work? Anyway, I poured them in a silicone muffin tray. Same resin. This is the exact same resin as this. Look at the difference. See how much lighter it is? More importantly, you see all of those air bubbles? That's why you pressurize Alumilite. Okay, I'm just going to mix up a few 100 grams of liquid diamonds. I'm not terribly happy with this. I'm actually kind of disappointed. I'm disappointed in myself for not realizing I should have cored these cobs and then just filled them with resin. Lessons learned, you know? That's what all this is. It's all a learning process, especially when you experiment with something like this. Yes, I've done corn cobs, but I always hollowed them, like this one right here. This is a stabilized cob that I made for a pen blank many years ago, and it's drilled out for a reason, because when you stabilize these, their stabilization doesn't get to the inside of that. And I forgot that, actually, because it's been that long. I won't forget again, you know, lessons learned. Next time, drill them out, then stabilize them, then fill those drilled holes with resin, and then cast your cobs. So if you want to do this, or if you're thinking about trying something like this, follow those steps. All right, I'm gonna quit fussing with this because I could be here all day. I'm gonna set this back, let this set overnight, actually probably gonna be till Monday. It's Saturday now, afternoon, evening, and see if I need to buff it out. Then I'll turn it around, put it in the cold chuck, and finish the bottom. Okay, this is now dry enough for me to polish it up. What I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna hit it with some 600 grit. I'm gonna put it back on the lathe, hit it with some 600 grit sandpaper, and then I'm going to micromesh it and then polish it up. So if you've ever wondered what kind of use you'll have out of one of those free 5x7 tarps Harbor Freight always gives away, I use them to protect my bedways and my lathe from water when I'm wet sanding. And I'm going to wet sand through all the grits of Micromesh, starting at 1500 going through 12,000. I've got a tub with about an inch of water in it here. I've got some 400 grit wet dry. I'm going to wet sand with that first. Keep the sandpaper moving and the Micromesh. You don't want it to get hot. The Micromesh will actually burn and the grit becomes unusable. You will begin to see, as I go through these grits, see how cloudy that looks? It'll become less and less cloudy as we go. Watch as that water evaporates. You'll see the difference between now and then. Really, it still looks like there's some fine scratches in there. Yep, that's why we're going to use this. Novus 2 plastic polish, fine scratch remover. Pretty shiny. There's no point in using the Axe Abrasive on here. It's polished, and that would just take it back, and I don't want to take it back. But what I do want to do is put some of this wax on here and polish it up a little bit more. Let that sit for a minute and we'll buff it up. Shiny! Time to turn it around and put it in the cold jaws. Look at that, would you? That right there sexier than socks on a rooster, I'm telling you. Well, the cold jaws were too small, so I put the extended jaws on it, and they're too big. I mean, right in the middle is what I needed, and it's not gonna happen. So, I'm gonna use my homemade donut chuck. Well, about 600, you don't really want to go much faster than that here. Keeping pressure applied toward the headstock. Got the ridges out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my sticker in the bottom. I'm going to mix up a little bit of liquid diamonds like I did before. Just a little bit. Just enough to cover my sticker. And I'll let that cure for probably 2 days because of this weather. And now we wait. So here it is, done. Corncob bowl. It measures about 8 inches across, about 4 1/8 inches tall. Wall thickness is roughly 1/4. Put a little pedestal foot on it. Yes, I got the idea from Doug. Doug at Pohl Productions, a good guy. If you've seen my stuff, I know you've seen Doug's. Anyway, I'll put a link up there. I'm pretty sure he's doing one of these too. We kind of talked about it, so keep an eye out for Doug's. I'm sure it's going to be really, really cool. Hope you like it. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, all that good stuff. If you'd like to help support the Missy Studio in any way, there's a couple of ways you can do it. Number one, go to my website. There's merch, link in the description below, or you'll see it here on the screen. You can buy things that I've turned, t-shirts, coffee mugs, and soon I'm going to have pins on there as well. So thanks again, folks. Come on back. You never know what you're going to see around here or what you're going to get. Sometimes it's something crazy. Sometimes it's something pretty plain. Y'all come back.